Hi you guys, welcome to week 5 of Insect Club. Today we're going to learn about 4 insects. The first one we're going to learn about is a firefly. So a firefly is one of my favorite insects because they're just really fun to look at in the nighttime. They're called lightning bugs also by some people. Can you guess why they have those two names, lightning bug and firefly? You got it, it's because they light up. So a lot of people don't know how they light up, but it's actually because they have an organ that lights up, which is really cool. An organ is like our organs are like our heart or our liver and our kidney, okay? So they have an organ that just lights up. Could you imagine if one of our organs lit up? I can't imagine that. So their organ in the firefly doesn't just light up and stay lit up, it actually flashes. So in the nighttime when you see a firefly, it'll be flashes of light, not just one solid light. Unfortunately, fireflies are becoming harder to find because of light pollution, so we have too much light in the world, and also because we're destroying their habitat, just like a lot of other animals. So it's important to make sure that you're being cautious of what you're doing around the world, and people are being cautious. So it might be a little bit trickier to find a firefly because of because of light pollution and the destruction of their habitats, but you can still find them, okay? So if you look outside like every night or every other night or something for a while, I'm sure you'll eventually find some fireflies to look at, and it's definitely worth checking every night because they're really, really cool when you do see one. The next insect we're going to talk about is caterpillars. We're just going to talk about caterpillars in general because there are too many different types to talk about them all. So caterpillars are insects that turn into butterflies or moths eventually. I think that Coventry School usually does a unit on monarch butterflies, so you'll definitely learn more about them if you haven't yet. A caterpillar is the second stage of the life cycle to becoming a butterfly or a moth. It starts out as an egg, turns into a caterpillar, then becomes a pupa or a chrysalis, and then it turns into a butterfly or moth. Caterpillars usually eat vegetables and plants, but did you know that there are some caterpillars that don't eat anything at all during the caterpillar stage? Could you imagine just going through like one whole stage of your life and not eating anything? I like food too much for that. So you can find caterpillars on tree trunks, leaves, on the ground. They're pretty much anywhere. I know I've gone for walks and I just see caterpillars when I'm walking just randomly, so they shouldn't be too hard to find. The next insect we're going to talk about are spiders. There are 45,000 different types of spiders. There's so many different types of spiders. So again, we're just going to talk about all the spiders in general. Even though spiders look scary, they are actually super important because they eat other bugs and they help make sure the population of other bugs doesn't get out of control. There are 2 ways that spiders hunt. The first way is the way we usually see spiders in Vermont hunt, is through a web. They build a web and then they wait for a fly or a bug to fly into their web, and then they wrap up the bug and they eat it in their web. But also, spiders hunt by stalking their prey. So just like you might see a cat stalk a bird, spiders do the same thing. They'll hide and they'll wait for a bug to get close and they'll pounce on it. So also, spiders have 8 eyes. Some have 6, but most have 8, and they can't even see very well, which I think is funny because they have so many eyes and they still can't see. The next bug we're going to talk about is an ant. Ants are everywhere, but they're actually pretty cool insects, okay? There are more than 12,000 types of ants in the world, and they can lift up to 20 times their body weight. So think about this. This means that if a human second grader, let's say, had the same strength as an ant, that second grader could lift up an entire car. Could you imagine being able to lift a car? I wish I could lift a car. It would make life so much easier. Another thing about ants is that they don't have ears. They have no ears. Instead, they hear, kind of, through vibrations in the ground. The most interesting fact I found about ants is that they don't have any lungs. So lungs is the organ that humans and a lot of animals use to breathe oxygen, and we need that to stay alive. And ants don't have any lungs, so how do they breathe? Well, I'll tell you. They have little tiny holes all over their body, and the oxygen goes in those holes, and then it comes the CO2 that you breathe out. Humans breathe it out too, and so do ants. The CO2 comes back out those really tiny little holes in their body. So I thought that was so cool. Also a little weird. I wonder if I put them under a microscope, if I could see the little tiny holes on the ants. You guys try that with your magnifying glass, okay? Alright, those are the 4 insects for this week. I hope that you learned something new, and I'll see you next week.